Hey everyone, Tim Muldoon back for day 12 of Ignatian mindfulness. It is an absolutely disgusting day here in Boston. Late April, now you know how we suffer, but life goes on. It's actually a good segue to the theme for today, which is a focus on our emotions or our feelings, which I think many of us are experiencing many of these days. If you're like me, they're kind of showing up in ways maybe that you don't expect. You might have a good day, you might have a bad day, and they sort of blend together. But what I hear a lot of my friends talking about is that, there's just this kind of emotional load with this experience that we are all going through. And it's not the usual control that we like to exercise over our daily lives. We are used to falling into the patterns I talked about earlier, that our habits tend to sustain us, that we get into patterns of work and play and leisure and school and other things. And we don't have to give a lot of thought to just the kind of moment to moment. But here we are in these unusual times, and sometimes rather confounded by the emotions that we are experiencing. Now, I have found that it's very helpful to talk about feelings in the way that Saint Ignatius of Loyola does. He describes them not so much in the way that we're accustomed to talking about them. I feel happy, I feel sad. He does talk about interior movements, and by this, he's talking not so much about the surface level things that we're experiencing, but the deep down, how are we doing, in the course of our lives? And how does this particular day elicit from me motivations or lack of motivations to do what I need to do? So let me suggest a couple of images. One is of a ship that is sailing towards a destination. And let's just imagine that it's a day like this, that it's rainy, it's windy, it's cold. It's not the easiest day to kind of summon motivation. If you're the kind of person that needs light, for example, this is a day that's just going to make you feel, down and lethargic and, just hard to get things done on a day like this. If a ship is sailing towards a destination, it doesn't stop because there's rain or because there's storm. Now, just to push that a little bit further, consider that the surface of the water could be very choppy and bouncy, okay? But underneath there can be calm. That is a good metaphor for thinking about the inner life, that we can experience all sorts of emotions, and they may show up like waves and, sort of crashing against the hull of our ship. But beneath that, there can still be calm. There can still be interior calm. So a friend of mine, in fact, the same one I mentioned to the other day, hi Melita, suggested that feelings can be like visitors. They can show up. Oh, here comes sadness. Oh, here comes elation. Oh, here comes boredom. Oh, here's this other visitor that I will call anxiety. Whatever that visitor is, I acknowledge that visitor, but I realize that I've got other things that are going to motivate me in my life. I still have a mission in life. I still have the capacity to do good in the world. So it might be helpful in this period of reflecting on our invitation to be mindful, that St. Ignatius of Loyola gives us a way to approach just the phenomenon of our emotional lives, which are unpredictable, with the reminder that these movements are perhaps things that we can acknowledge, but also call ourselves back to that basic goodness that we are created for, that we can still do good in the world. And it might be something simple as telling somebody I love you, writing a note to somebody. Again, the list of things that I've suggested in other videos. And it might just simply be that, in a sense, what we're doing is tricking our minds back into remembering that we do have mission, that we do have direction, we do have purpose. So I invite you to maybe take a little bit of time today and just recall that goodness is still open to you, even in times of rain and storm. Again, Tim Muldoon, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.